Here we are trying to understand what is biology. Biology is dealing with living organisms. All this surrounding is being surrounded by different types of small, bigger, huge, microorganisms. Every single, even if you are being surrounded by a living organism, every type of bacteria, viruses, everything. So biology is dealing with study of a science. It's a branch of science that's dealing with living organisms. Okay? Now, if we talk about biology, so definitely there is involvement of human physiology. Because human is also a social animal. Okay, we are supposed to be considered as social animal. We get engaged with the other people, and we just get related very friendly relationship with the other people, even with the animals, because people have pet in their nearby surroundings. So we are supposed to be considered as social animal. And what is the meaning of physiology? So physiology is basically what is going inside and outside of the body. That is chemical and physical processes. So it's basically both chemical and physical processes. Now, the first most thing comes. If we talk about physical processes, so you can even consider like doing all the different kind of physical activities. Physical activities like running, jumping, everything. Why we do that? The most important question, why there is requirement of physical activity? So basically physical activities are responsible for functioning of the different organs, and best part is pumping of the blood. So that the organs which keeps on frequently working, they are more functional, more healthier. Okay. Now, the best thing is, if I ask you a question, a single question, like, tell me, how many systems does a body have? The most basic and the simplest question. If I ask you, how many systems does the body have? The biggest question mark. So sometimes we keep on counting, like we have respiratory system, we have digestive system, we have nervous system, but exactly accurate number is not to be known. Okay. So when we talk about, we do have in total, 11 systems inside the body, which are coordinating and functional. So they are working hand in hand together. This is not like that one will be offended or whether one system will be stopped, the other will still work. It's a totally different thing. Okay. So Now, moving to know what are the different 11 systems of the body. The 11 systems of the body you can remember by every initials of them and combining them to form a word. Like, these are the alphabets for all the different systems, but if you try to learn it or try to speak it out, it's like mother is clean. So basically we have muscular system, urinary, respiratory system, digestive, endocrine. There might be some systems which you have heard for the first time. Okay. Then we have reproductive, immune system, skeletal system, circulatory. This might be new for you, like lymphatic system. In the last, which is most important, is your nervous. Okay, so again, we'll see out what are the different 11 systems. Well, M stands for muscular, U is for your urinary, R stands for your respiratory, D is for your digestive, E is for endocrine, R is for reproductive, I is for immune, S is for skeletal, C is for circulatory, L is for lymphatic, and N is for nervous system. So all this, you see, these are the 5 alphabets, these are 2 alphabets, and these are 3. All combining together and forming total 11 alphabets, which are resembling your 11 systems of the body. Okay, so all these systems, they work hand in hand, coordinating with the function of nervous system. But yes, every system inside the body have their own origin, have their own functioning, and have their own importance. Okay, it's not like if any of the system is being deleted from the body, still the body can work. It's not like that. So each and every systems which are being present inside the body, they are functioning together and they are helping out the body to perform the activity. So metabolic activities and other different types of physical and chemical processes, everything which has been taking out the body. Okay. Now, here the most important. First, we are going to study about the respiratory system. The most important system because we can stay like 30 days alive without food. We can stay 3 to 4 days alive without water. But when it comes to air, it's totally impossible for a person to survive maybe maximum more than 30 minutes. A person who is training himself, like undergoing into deep breaths and all, can train themselves for stopping their breath, like max to max 30 minutes. Still 30 minutes is quite more. But a normal person cannot survive because the lungs haven't been expanded. So air inside your surrounding is too much required. If you are being like enclosed in a particular room and that room is being suffocated with many people or being, actually there are many people who are being sitting or standing in that place. So it will be creating a havoc. After a certain period of time, you'll start feeling suffocated and you try to get out of that room because it is creating too much amount of carbon dioxide. Even carbon dioxide is a part of air, but it is not required by the body. Okay. So we can say respiration is most important function. Even when you sleep, none of your body, none of your systems stop. Okay. It's only the brain conscious portion where it's actually undergoing into some type of relax. It's not like it's getting starved for completion completely. Okay. So now moving to the respiratory system. Respiratory system. Okay. Now, the moment we try and understand what is respiratory system, the problem comes here. Kids have only learned about breathing in and breathing out is supposed to be considered as respiration. But if you say inhalation of air and exhalation of air, this is a physical process. Okay. This is a physical process of body. Okay. So if this is the physical process, so definitely it's not going to be your respiration. Okay. This is a breathing. This combines together and this is forming the mechanism of breathing. Now, again try and understand this process of inhalation and exhalation is not the process of respiration, it's the mechanism of breathing. It's a total physical process where you can feel when you are breathing in and breathing out. Okay, so this is not respiration, it's actually mechanism of breathing. Then what exactly breathing is? Breathing is part of respiration. Breathing is a part of respiration. So, if we try and understand what is definition for respiration. So, respiration is when everything enter into the body and then that is actually helping you out in producing energy. Okay. So here, the oxygen which is being inhaled. Here we have written inhalation of air. Inhalation of air is because we don't have filters on the nose. Okay, we are not filtering through the nose, right, in the process. So basically, oxygen whenever have been inhaled, I have breathed. And simply said. Now, why this oxygen is supposed to be reached towards the air? What is the purpose behind it? The oxygen will be reaching and into the cell so that it can oxidize the glucose. So that it can oxidize the glucose. Now, what is the purpose behind oxidation of glucose? Now, what is oxidation? A chemical process in which the oxygen is combining with the glucose so that they can form different chemical products. So this is just to produce energy. Now, why we need energy? What is the purpose behind that? For performing metabolic activities. So if we talk about this, it's basically where we are trying to perform the metabolic activities. So for metabolic activities, there is production of energy. But the production of energy is taking place through oxidation of glucose. Oxidizing the glucose is a process called as oxidation. So thus statements doesn't define anything. Like the statements have been defined, okay, fine. But the statement doesn't make any sense unless and until you see the reaction. Okay. So see the reaction. This is the molecular formula for your glucose. Why am I saying glucose? Because the body converts everything into glucose. The only reason is because glucose is the direct source of energy. They help the body to get energy. Okay? Glucose can combine with the oxygen, which is breathed in. Now, this is the process of respiration. Okay, this is the process of respiration. This glucose getting oxidized, and this will produce what? There will be release of carbon dioxide. Like this is not required by some amount of water vapor. What is the water vapor? Why there is release of water vapor? If you have ever breathed in front of mirror, okay, so we have seen that there is some amount of steam generated or the vapors have been arising in front of mirror. The point is, whenever you breathe out, the air is moist. So it contains some amount of water. So carbon dioxide and water molecules are being released out, okay, in the form of the extra sources, extra thing which has been not required by the body. And there is formation of 38 ABs molecules, where 38 ABs molecules, where 1 ATP is giving you somewhere around 7.3 kilocalorie energy. That to an instant, okay, at an instant. So, glucose getting combined with oxygen, resulting into the formation of carbon dioxide and water vapors, and then 38 molecules of ATP. Now, here the question comes that these reactions, they are not matching with each other. The number of elements is being dispersed all over the reaction. So, we need to balance the reaction. The balancing comes, always try and make a trick, a quick trick which can help like to perform the reactions. Okay. So here is C6, H12, O6, O2. But if you see the most biggest number comes with hydrogen, that is H12. So we can place the 6th number over here so that 6 to the 12, where 6 can multiply by 2 and resulting in the formation of 12 hydrogen element. Okay. Now, if you see the oxygen number have been changed. Here 6 oxygen and 2 oxygen combining together and forming 8 oxygen. Here is also equal, but the carbon number is different. Carbon number is 6, we have to maintain the carbon number. You just cannot see, you just cannot avoid it. Okay. 6 carbon, now 6, and this becomes 12. This is forming 18 oxygen. So you just need to balance it with 6 oxygens, 6 molecules of oxygens, resulting in the formation of 18 oxygens, both on the reactant and on the product side. Okay? Got that? Now, glucose, oxygen, carbon dioxide. Need to mention everything. When you're writing a reaction, you need to mention everything. Like this is oxygen. This is carbon dioxide. And this is water vapor. So, here finish the reaction of respiration, where we are trying to understand how respiration is performed. Now, respiration have different steps, like external respiration, internal respiration, mechanisms, and then cellular respiration. The reaction which is actually having this thing or giving you this content is your cellular mechanism of respiration. Okay. So, with the help of this reaction, we finally come to know that the mechanism of breathing is not a respiration, it's a part of respiration. Okay, and when it comes to respiration, respiration will be always resulting final product into energy molecules so that the body can perform activities, different types of activities. Because we already know that body is made up of cell, tissue, organ systemic and organs. So whenever it comes with cellular, each and every cell present inside the body needs to undergo into the mechanism, and also they need energy to perform that mechanism. So for that purpose, each and every molecule of your ATP helps in that purpose. Okay. Now moving to try and understand what are the different organisms performing different types of respiration and how do they perform the respiration? Because every organisms don't have a proper lungs. They don't have lungs where they can actually undergo into the respiration or breathing process. There are few organisms, if you come in encounter with like birds, they do have a small opening onto the nose or the beak nearby, and that's the thing with the nostrils. So nostrils, okay, the bird's nostrils. Then it comes to different organs that more the lower kind of category we move, the more we can see the differentiation of the organisms and their respiratory systems. Every organism doesn't have the same. There is no similarity in respiration. Mammals do have lungs, but still the respiration technique and respiration thing is different. If you have seen dogs and cats, they keep on licking their nose. What's the reason behind it? They always keep on licking their nose and keep them moist. The reason is the more the moistness will be available, the more organism will be having good sense to smell. Okay, it's best, or I can give you the best example, like when you suffer from cough and cold, and when the noses are blocked. Okay, what exactly happens when the noses are being blocked? Basically, the mucus secretion is too much. Okay, and the complete nostril and the passage of the nose, that is the nasal passage, they get dried up. And because of drying, you don't feel the warmness of the air, neither the moistness of air, and then it becomes more like sense of smell is also being gone. Okay. So now moving to see the different types of respiratory organs and different type of respiratory cells or different type of respiratory surfaces present within different organisms. Different respiratory organs or surfaces present in different organisms. Now, if we talk about different surfaces or respiratory organs, we can start from the lower invertebrates. Now, what are invertebrates? organisms do not have vertical column. So they are termed as invertebrates. And there is one more type of category which are called as non-coordinates. These are organisms do not have notochord in embryonic or adult life stage. In both of the life stages, neither they have an embryonic stage, neither they have adult stage. Okay. So these organisms do not show presence of notochord or a rod-like structure which will be present. Like for example, we humans or mammals, they do have notochord. They do have notochord. In their embryonic stage, the notochord is then replaced by the vertebral column into the body. Okay, so that the vertebral column can give protection to the spinal cord. Now, this was the point regarding what is invertebrate and non-coordinate. Fine. Now, moving to the different respiratory systems, organs, surfaces. If we talk about the category of polyphenols. Now, what are the polyphenols, or what are they, why they are called as polyphenols? The organisms which have pores. Organisms having pores on their body. So polyphenols are the organisms which they do not have a developed or something different the respiratory system. Then what do they have? They do respire through body surface. By a process called as diffusion. What is the process diffusion? Diffusion is basically a process where there is transmission of substance, or we can say movement of solute or solvent. Diffusion is a process. Movement of solvent from higher concentration to their low concentration. Okay. Through a direct contact. I'll give you an example of diffusion. If you have ever come in contact with baking soda, okay, baking soda is generally being used, baking soda and baking powder, both are being used by all the baking industries and some of the bread making industries and cake making industries everywhere. The only point is they contain sodium carbonates and bicarbonates, by which whenever they come in direct contact with water or any of the liquid medium, the effervescence arises. The effervescence which comes out is the carbon dioxide. Okay. So whenever there is direct contact with any of the surface or any of the medium, the movement of solvent from higher concentration where they are supposed to be found in more quantity, like a baking soda is in a powder, there is no reaction taking place. The moment it touches the surface of water, automatically the effervescence arises. So that is what movement of solvent from high concentration to low concentration to a direct contact. The surface of water have been attached, making a clear contact with the baking soda, and then arising of this effervescence take place. So they do respire, the body processes movement, diffusion. Now, how this forms look like? I'll show you. It's like the body is made up of it's a sedentary body. This is base, which is also known as a substratum, where the organism is attached. Okay? And this organism is having a vast shaped body where the pores are being spread all over the body. These are the pores which are spread all over the body. This is the mouth opening. Okay. So if we see this, obviously these organisms do not have a proper system. Not even they have the proper digestive system. Okay. So obviously, by which mean or by what mean they are going to respire. So as they live inside the water, the residence is inside the water. So we can understand if they are 24/7 continuously living inside the water. So the body might be having some kind of mechanism to perform respiration. So they do have mechanism of respiration by means of diffusion. So diffusion is an important process for these type of organisms as they are already residing inside the water. So the water coming in contact with their body, the body tries to take much more and more amount of different types of gases inside the body and try to release the different gases which is not required. So the one which is not required is supposed to be thrown out. So what can we help with? So the water which is making a medium and also making a diffusion contact. Okay. Now, moving to the next organism, this type of mechanism is not only being seen in polyparent, but there are many mechanisms which actually show this type of diffusion processes. Diffusion processes is like one more category of an organism. Okay, we'll see that. The next category. Organisms belonging to a group which are called as medallions or cylindrics. Now, how can we categorize this organisms or this group of organisms performing diffusion? You see again the body. The body is cylindrical shape. elliptical shaped body and again attached to the substratum. The upper surface contains the nut. Mouth opening, and here we are being surrounded by different tentacles. Now, if we try and see if this organism is attached to a particular position, obviously, if the organism is attached, this is very difficult for the organism to move. The movement will be not allowed. So they perform the respiration through diffusion through the body over here. There are no pores over here, but the surface is porous. Surface of body is porous. So if surface of the body is porous, the exchange of gases can take place easily. By the again, process is diffusion. But in this category, there is one more type of organism, which are umbrella shape. Or you can say mushroom shape. Known as your Aurelia. This organism is known as your hydrogen. This is Aurelia, a free swimming organism. But the condition comes, both have the same thing, same tendency, same openings all over the body surfaces so that they can perform the mechanism. These are the two different organisms from the same group. Organisms of the same group, but the mechanism of breathing or mechanism of respiration in both the organisms is same. It cannot be different because the organisms don't have a proper development of the space. Why they are doing the diffusion? Why the respiration is taking place on the body surface? Because they do not show the presence of respiratory organ or system. So this is about the group of two organisms, Notarians and Poriferans, performing the same type of respiration, that is your diffusion. See, diffusion is also kind of mechanism of respiration itself. If we talk about different, there are many different organisms performing different things. But as the evolution or as you study higher level organisms, the higher we go in the categories of the animals or organisms, the differentiation we can see easily into the respiratory systems and respiration processes. Now, moving to the next category. So the next category of the organisms comes with body surfaces, but through plasma surface. And the category is known as platyhelminths, or scamminthes, and meats. All these three group of categories or three different groups of organisms, they are actually showing the body surfaces respiration. But the body surfaces, which means plasma surfaces. Now, why we are trying and understanding what plasma surface? If you have seen the same organisms residing nearby any of the dry surfaces, any of the dry region, they're not able to survive. The only reason is because survival is without water is possible for them. So the first category comes with platyhelminths. Platyhelminths is what? Platy. Words have been split. Platy means flat. And helminths stand for worms. So basically, we are trying to understand what is the mechanism of respiration in worm category organisms. The flatworms, the worms which are dorsoventrally flattened. Ascalventus comes with the round worms, Annelids comes with the ringworms. As per their body texture, body differentiation, the presence of different things, accordingly they have been placed in different categories. How they look, the appearance, the subsystems and the functions. Platyhelminths, flatworms, these flatworms shows presence of these flatworms. If you see, the flatworms is like this. If you see the body, if we try to make the mouth here, so the flatworm is dorsoventrally flat, not laterally. This we try to understand about dorsoventral flat body. Now, what is dorsoventral flat body? This portion, the face down portion, is your ventral surface. The back head portion is your dorsal surface. And the side portion comes with your lateral part. So this portion is coming with the dorsoventral. Dorsoventral is, we say that like front and back. Dorso is back, ventral is front. The dorsoventral flat body, this body shows a covering of this body shows a covering of a slimy substance. Slimy white substance, which is known as your cuticle. So now, what is cuticle? A covering over the complete body. And it's not only the covering over the complete body, there's one more thing, that is, It's helping in performing reduced respiration. Performing respiration. The internal cell covering is forming the cell membrane. Below that there is plasma membrane. So cell membrane, that is the cell portion, this portion, the one which is being black color. So this is the cell membrane. Because animals don't have cell wall, so we cannot write down that cell membrane, and the outer thing is your cuticle, and then beneath the cell membrane there will be presence of plasma membrane. So beneath the cell membrane there will be one more thing. You can consider that a plasma membrane. Okay. So if you consider it as a plasma membrane, the most important thing comes. This cell membrane is forming a transportation medium. And not only the transportation medium, but also an exchange region for gases. So we can understand, or we can try to understand how the organisms perform the respiration. Irrespective of organisms, they show presence of cuticle over all the body surface. That cuticle should be compulsorily moist. If it is not moist, not slimy, it's not going to be helpful for respiration, because dry things do not respire. Dry things can get dried up more easily. They don't have anything nearby. Okay. The reason we are trying to, whenever we try to prepare a preservative, different types of preservative, if we want to preserve something, definitely we try to sun dry things. Sun drying, which is removing even the single droplet of water, there is no moistness present inside that particular, which helps to keep that dried particular things or items for a long period of time. Okay, it can be protected. But once the things have been moist, it's then damaged. Same thing is applicable in here. The organisms once dried, then they are not like there is no chance of survival for them. No, not at all a single chance. So when they dried up, it becomes difficult for them to survive. The most important thing, that is to respire. If the respiration is not being performed, it's difficult for them to survive. The metabolism will be hit directly. Okay, so this category, lateral mucus, ascal mucus, and annulates perform the same thing. So ascal mucus, as is the one which stands for round, and pyramids to stand for your worms, whereas annulates mean anus and anuli. Annuli or endless, this word stands for ring. So this can be considered as ringworm. Ringworm. The worm which is actually creating a fungal infection inside the body, it's not that one. Okay. So Cladiolinthes, the best example comes with the tapeworm or liver fluke, which resides inside the liver of the cadence, and tapeworm inside our body, humans. Ascalinthes, the organisms, best example comes with your roundworm, that is Caris, supposed to be found mostly in 6 to 16-year kids. Annelids, the best example comes with leeches and earthworms. Earthworms are supposed to be called as your best friends for farmers, and leeches examples nowadays have been used for medicinal purposes or medicinal treatments wherever there is blood clot happening. So we can take this as an example for respiration. This three, performs with the body surfaces, that is plasma. Now, moving to the next category. So the next category that comes with is arthropods. Now, arthro, we automatically come to understand arthro means joints. Study of joints is called as your arthrology. And pods, they stand for foot-like appearance. But together, arthropods stand for organisms having jointed appendages. Now, I'll give you an example of jointed appendages. What exactly jointed appendages are? If you see, have you ever came in contact with the butterflies? Okay. If you see the body, there's head in the complete abdomen. Okay. And between there is a slight difference between the head and the abdomen, which forms thorax. This is between the head, thorax, and this portion comes here. And then the legs for the large. The question comes, if butterflies have wings, why do they have legs? The legs are responsible for making balance of the body whenever they are sitting on the flowers or sucking up the nectar. Okay. Here, if we try and understand this group, they have different types of systems or different types of respiratory systems present inside them, depending upon the adaptations, where they are being present, what kind of habitat they are being residing. What is habitat? A dwelling place of an organism. Dwelling place of an organism is supposed to be considered as your habitat. Where we stay, it's our habitat. Now, if we talk about, there are different types of respiratory organs in this category. For example, if you try and understand a body of cockroach, there are two different things which have been found. There is one as trachea and other are respiratory spiracles. So as even the butterfly comes in this particular group, which is called as your insecta group, where all the insects are residing. So they do have trachea and respiratory spiracles. Now, if we talk about trachea, It's been spread all over the body inside. Then where are these spiracles? Spiracles, they are 10 numbers. There are total 10 pairs of spiracles. Trachea being present or spread inside all over the body helps in taking the air and then releasing out the air which is not liquid. As these organisms do not have circulatory system properly well developed or cross-circulatory system where the oxygenated and deoxygenated plasma get mixed, it's not the concern that oxygen is reaching or not, but still the survival point of view, it is required by the body. Each and every organism body is required. So if we try understanding arthropods, proper family of insect, they do show presence of trachea and spiracles. Respiratory spiracles which are being present, they are forming a vein or passage for the entrance of air. Entrance of air is actually done with the help of spiracles. Now, how? Coming to the next session is your how there is entrance of air through the spiracle. Spiracles being present beneath the joints or legs. Beneath the joints of legs, whatever the spiracles have been present, they are supposed to be considered as your metathoracic and thoracic spiracles. Okay. So these are two pairs in number. Out of that, total 10 pairs. Remaining 10 pairs or 8 pairs, they are situated in the abdomen cavity. Or abdominal region. So combining 2 pairs and 8 pairs, they are forming 10 pairs of spiracles. Now the spiracles are present beneath the or near the segments of the body. They are actually forming the passage or the way, the breathing of the air, and then that air is being transported. Air through spiracles and then transported in the body, which is then reached towards the trachea. Once it has been reached towards the trachea will diffuse again into the body. And then towards the circulating system. If we try to understand a particular flow chart that how the diffusion of everything takes place. But here there is presence of normal called as trachea and spiracles, which are responsible for the separation or for absorbing and then releasing of the oxygen or the air inside and outside the body. The diffusion takes place. But this is one-way track. It is not performing like the way we have breathe in and breathe out. So this is one-way track. It gets then diffused into the complete cell of the body. So, circulatory system. Once we have seen this, automatically the passage have been then drawn out. Okay. Spiracles and trachea. But there are different organisms inside this category. Arthropods, like parrots, buccaneers, for respiration. Now, if we talk about buccaneer for respiration, what exactly that means, buccaneer? So if we take out the lungs, structure appears like look, an open book. So this type of respiratory system or respiratory organ is supposed to be found in the organisms residing in dry or arid region. The best example for this type of category comes with scorpions. Scorpions do show presence of book lungs where because they are not residing inside the water or any of the nearby land where the water is available. So the air is also not moist. Okay, it's completely dry. That's the reason scorpions do have book lungs, which will help in capturing the moisture and retaining the oxygen and water molecules inside the body so that the organism is not dying because of dehydration. Okay. The next category in the same category comes with your organisms showing presence of book gills. Organisms having book gills. Now, this is also the respiratory organ. For the organisms residing in water. To be more specific, this organ is for crabs, prawns, lobsters, so that they can perform respiration. But not harming the other different organs. Not harming the other different organs. So, in the category of arthropods, we have seen three different types of categories. Organisms showing presence of trachea and spiracles, organisms showing presence of hook lungs, and the other last final organisms showing the presence of hook gills. With a proper appropriate example. Now, moving to the next higher level version of the organism, that is categories belonging to mollusks. Now, what is mollusk? Here, mollusk is the word which stands for soft-bodied organism. The organisms, they don't have hard body, and for the protection of that body, they need some covering. And this will be protected by shell, the shell organisms. Shell organisms, and it's not compulsory. Now, this shell organisms are being categorized into three categories. There is externally shell organisms, internally shell, and there are even an example of no shell organism. And that no shell organism is the most brightest, smartest organism on the sea. So if you see an example of externally shelled organism, example comes with cuttlefish, externally shelled organism, phylum, Italian, internally shelled organism, sapia, and no shell organism, octopus. But these all organisms, they do respire with the help of body surfaces, as the body surface is moist and slimy. Okay, so they also have body surface for undergoing into respiration process. Moving to the next category, that is fish or crisis. They have presence of gills. These are the specialized organs which are supposed to be found only in aquatic organisms. Specialized organ for respiration. But we see human babies in an embryonic condition, not the fetal one, embryonic condition, you can see presence of as the baby is floating in an amniotic fluid. So we just cannot forget about floating. We are supposed to be called as born floaters. So floating in an amniotic fluid, which is because there is presence of gill over the head. Which gets evolved as the time passes, as the baby undergoes from embryonic stage to the fetal stage. The gills, these are of two different types. One is covered and the other is uncovered. The covered gills are covered by, they are the proper gills which are being covered, and they are covered by a lid-like substance, which is known as your operculum. Whereas uncovered gills are known as gill fins. And they don't require cover. As they are hard to tackle the water currents. So there's a differentiation between gills and gillslets. Gills, you can see the most common example comes with bony fishes, whereas uncovered gillslets comes with your cartilaginous. Cartilaginous fishes examples are like sharks, electric ray, stingray, and bony fishes examples comes with your rohu, tilapia, etc. Now we'll just move ahead with the evolution of gills into lungs. The last respiratory organ, which is highly evolved, is lungs. And it is found in most of the categories. Adult amphibians, reptilians, apes, and mammals. Anyway, mammals are the highly evolved organisms. So, up till now, we have tried and understand what is breathing, why there is differentiation between breathing and respiration, what is respiration, how the chemical formula or the chemical mechanism takes place with the respiration, and different types of respiratory organs or systems in the different organisms.